Today we're going to talk about climate change. But change है क्या? That basic element of the change, what it is, जो हमें सबसे ज़्यादा problem कर रहा है. Because what we know from the history कि climate change अभी क्या phenomena नहीं है. It is happening from the day of this planet birth. जब से ये planet बना है, तब से changing जो है climate के अंदर आ रही है, environment के अंदर आ रही है. But the biggest change which we fear is the temperature change. क्योंकि historically जब भी जितना भी change आया है वो एक certain amount में आया है और उसकी length तकरीबन 50 से 60 हज़ार साल थी. But now what we are experiencing in the last 140 years is remarkably high and remarkably alarming as compared to the previous levels. If you can turn down the light, थोड़ी सी कम कर लें. I want to show you this graph. This is more like the visuals which is present from 1880 to 2024. And the main change which you can see over here is this line, this area. This area is the only problem we have in our history, and what we call this is the age of Anthropocene in the last 70 years which we have lived in. So today we're going to talk about being environmentalist, being like me in the age of Anthropocene, when no one talks about or even care about this global phenomena, because everybody is so invested into this material outcome of the journey which we have, what we call life. I'm an environmentalist and I look after the Strengthening Regional Climate Resilience Program, in which I look after this whole region, this South Asian or the Asian region. But first of all, I want to show you the journey of this humankind on this planet. If we look at, if we go back in the history, like we go back for 400,000 years, we came to know that the planet actually changed its temperature, which I've told you, the planet पहले भी change की है. But the maximum change which we have observed was from -5 to +2. इससे आगे पीछे planet कभी भी नहीं गया, planetary scale पे कभी नहीं गया. And that is the time when we have ice ages, all the melting, all the other phenomena, interglacial phenomena. The second part is the last 20,000 years, in which we entered into something remarkably stable, which was never happened ever before on this planetary history. And we call it Holocene. Holocene is the time when the temperature of the planet only goes +5 and -5. इससे ऊपर नीचे नहीं हो गया. And that is the time where we developed ourselves as humankind. All the things you see around yourself, all the festivals, all the songs, all the literature, or everything, every food you eat, every meat you have is actually developed in the last 12,000 years. And that is the time in which we have this capacity. Insan a curious species hai, and that is why we are something which we done something which couldn't done by any other species around the world. We are curious. And once we are curious, we develop certain pathways for that curiosity. Those pathways get us to the results which we want. And those results give us the meaning of life itself. But we have this tendency, once these pathways are developed, we tend to optimize those things. The optimization of that process is done by us because we are curious and we want to achieve our results faster and faster and quicker. And once this optimization is done, we go into the expansion of it. And that is actually happening all over the world. Every person is like this. Every person. So once we developed ourselves and we developed the pathways, we developed everything, the mechanisms, the physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, the basic sciences we have. Back in 1850s, it was developed. So उसके बाद हमने identify किया कि how we can expand those things, and hydrocarbon help us. Petrochemical industry helped us to increase that particular phenomena which we developed. And that particular phenomena was developed back in 1850, जब हमने industrial revolution में पाँव रखा था. After that, from 1850 to 1950, we develop ourselves further, we develop industries around the world, we develop multiple phenomena, researches, and everything we know today. But after 1950, we entered into something which we call great acceleration. And at that time, everybody knew, academics and the policy making in the government, that we are putting a footprint on the planet Earth. And that actually happened from we know that from the data sets right now. So that particular time, which was here, if you can turn down the light, you can see this thing. This great acceleration which you see here is the time when population is actually increased. We multiplied ourselves into a level which we came to know. हम 1950 में we were around 2 billion something, and 2020 we were around 8 billion, and so do the economy. The economy was $9 trillion at that time, and by 2020 it was $133 trillion. So we earn a lot, but at what cost? At the cost of environment in which we breathe, we eat, and we take a breath. And at that time, now we have these three choices. We are at the point where we have left Holocene. We left Holocene right here, and we entered into something which we call the Great Acceleration. And now we have three choices: 4 degrees centigrade, 2 degrees, 3 degrees centigrade, and 2 degrees centigrade. I mean, we tend to believe that we can control the temperatures at 1.5, but that is remarkably flawed, because we have added so much heat into the system only for the gains, only for the economic gains. हमने हर चीज को materialize कर दी है. Everything has a certain value, and that value costed us right here. Now, what will be the world in 4 degrees centigrade? It means कि आपकी जितनी vegetation है वो सारी खत्म हो जाएगी. All the plants you see. I mean, if you talk about 4 degrees centigrade on the global level, on the surface it's around 8. And on the cryosphere means the जो गिलगिल बल्तिस्तान का हमारा इलाका है, जैसे upper side of it geography के अंदर, it is going to be like 9 to 12 degrees Celsius above normal, which we call normal. So this is remarkably, and it means that all of the vegetation you know, all the plants you know, all the animals you know, all the species you know is going to die, and they are dying actually right now. We are at that stage. And if we talk about on a planetary scale, the thermostat of the planet is actually disturbed. जो पानी है, जो समुंदर है, that is actually the thermostat of the planet. And if you look at the poles, they are melting at the alarming rate. Even अगर आप में से कोई गिलगिल बल्तिस्तान के, तो you guys actually witnessed this year कि जिस तरह glaciers टूट के वहाँ पे गिरे हैं. This is not normal. This was never been normal in the history of it. So for the first time on a planetary scale, हमने अपने genome में जब हमने कोई चीज face नहीं की, हम वो चीजें face कर रही हैं. It's more like entered into uncharted territory. We don't know what to do or how to do or even how to cope with it in that regard. And the planet heating which we are looking, the change in the temperature actually going to impact us like this. This purple area you all see, this is unhabitable zone. They are going to be uninhabitable within the 30 years right now. Moving further, if we go as business as usual, we are going to witness these things and remarkably high rate. And why I'm saying this, because now you know the change. What is the change and how bigger the change is. Now what are the impacts of it? The impacts of it, like the last 20 months on this planet, or the 20 months if we still go back from 2023 July, every month is breaking record from the historic level. और historic में मैं बता रहा हूँ तकरीबन 20,000 साल का. Categorically we have like 2023 was hottest in the last 2,000 years, and 2024 is even breaking those records by a mile. I mean, हम अगर 2023 में यहाँ पे थे, तो we are jumping it to the last row right now. इतना उसका gap है. And it's not only happening in Pakistan. If we say कि Pakistan एक vulnerable country है, it's happening all over the world now. There's no place on this planet Earth which is actually saved from these disasters. Why I'm saying this? Because this 50-degree phenomena was confined to 1 or 2 places around the world. But now it is, in the last 1 year, it happened in 10 different countries. 10 different countries. It's remarkably high. And that is the reason I told you, we do not know where we are actually going, how long we can sustain into this. Because in the last year, in 2023, we have faced significant enormous. अब ये जो एक आप इवेंट देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे, like each one of this, even if you look at the Canadian wildfires, 45 million acres were burned. 45 million acres were burned. I mean, this number is beyond imagination. I mean, I cannot imagine. हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी जो है 1700 एकड़ की. I studied this in the university, और मुझे लगता था ये बहुत बड़ी है. ये सिर्फ 1700 एकड़. Now imagine 45 million एकड़ जो है वो जला है सिर्फ एक वाइल्ड फायर में. And the rate is alarming at that stage. And if we compare the whole year of 2023 with 1 month of 2024, if we look at the October side, तो अक्टूबर के अंदर जो दो सिग्निफिकेंट अनोमलीज वर इन डबल डिजिट्स, उस पूरे साल में डबल डिजिट्स पे गई हैं और हम एक महीने में डबल डिजिट पे जा रहे हैं 24 के अंदर. So the things are critically harmful. ये पूरी दुनिया में हो रहा है. It's not only happening in Pakistan. 2022 का जो flood था, that was the one example we have in Pakistan. And in 2023 we actually faced 13 natural disasters like that. But media didn't show you that because media में सिर्फ sensational खबरें जो हैं वो ज़्यादा चीजें चलती हैं. And that is remarkably sad in our reality. Because why I'm saying this, because we are entering into something, if we go like this, if we do live our life like this as we are living, we are going to break the thresholds. And once the thresholds are break, I cannot even explain what kind of catastrophe is going to unleash on this planet Earth. And the start is we are actually entering into that particular zone. The only possible solution we have is the SDG agenda. Sustainable Development Goals जिनको आप कहते हैं, but we all know उनके क्या हशर हो रहा है. Even we cannot achieve a single goal in that direction by 2030. We talked about the globe. Now we're going to talk about what is happening in Pakistan. So these are the major changes which I collected for you in that regard. We have lost 4 years of life. हम जितने यहाँ पे इस कमरे में बैठे हुए हैं, इस हॉल में बैठे हुए हैं, we have lost 4 years of our life. No matter what we do right now, or no matter how green we tend to believe we are, we have lost it, and it's not coming back. Our sea surface temperatures are increased by 1.2 degrees Celsius, and that is remarkably high. Our coral bleaching is going on right now. As I told you, we face 13 natural disasters, and the biggest element of threat we have is the upper Indus Basin or the north side of Pakistan. गिलगित-बल्तिस्तान में जो glaciers हैं, वो पिघल रहे हैं. और वो जो उनकी जो वो एक टिपिंग पॉइंट जो हमने क्रॉस कर लिया है, वी आर नेवर गोइंग टू गेट बैक देम एज दे आर टुडे. 10% मिनिमम डिक्रीज होंगे वो. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो आपको मानसून का साइकिल है और जो फ्लड साइकिल है वो और ज्यादा इंटेंसिफाई हो जाएगा, बिकॉज द टोपोग्राफी ऑफ पाकिस्तान इज लाइक दिस. दिस इज द नॉर्थ साइड, दिस इज द साउथ साइड. ये आपका स्कर्दू है और ये गवादर है. तो पानी ऐसे फ्लो करता है नीचे को. अगर बारिश ऊपर होगी तो उससे हमें फ्लड जो है वो बहुत ज्यादा मिलेगा. एंड द सिस्टम इज एक्चुअली री-एम्प्लीफाइंग इटसेल्फ. नाउ वहां पे तकरीबन 3000 से ऊपर लेक्स हैं जो डेवलप हो चुकी हुई हैं, एंड द लेक वाटर इज ब्लूइश, इट अब्सॉर्ब मोर हीट इनटू इट, एंड दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम. नाउ अगर सिस्टम में आज भी लेट्स इमेजिन अगर पूरी दुनिया में गाड़ियों का धुआं है, एवरी बैड प्रैक्टिस वी हैव कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर की आज भी हम रोक दें, देन द सिस्टम इज हीटेड अप इनफ कि वो 5 से 10 साल उसका लैग पीरियड रहेगा. And it will go on and re-establish itself. And in the last, we have disturbed our monsoon cycle. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे शायद किसान के बच्चे बैठे हों, farmers के जिनके रोजगार है. They know how valuable the rain is because I belong to certain and that type of family. मुझे पता है कि जो इन चीज़ों के डिस्टर्बेंस से मुझे मेरी फसल को कितना नुकसान पहुंचता है, मेरे घर को, मेरी मईशत को कितना नुकसान पहुंचता है. And we actually disturb it on a level in which all of you, if you live 80-90 years, हम तब भी उस लेवल पे नहीं आएंगे जो हमारे बुजुर्गों ने देखे हुए थे. So that is the change which I'm talking about. That is the change which I'm looking after. This is the timeline of the floods we have. From 1992 to 2022, every year we have flood. It's not a single year. तो 22 में 22 हमें पता लगता है कि flood आया था, but every year we have the floods. Every year we have the heat waves. Previously, we were colonized by the force itself. Military rule है या उस तरह सारी चीजें की. But in the last 70 years, when we got independence, we moved into a direction where we have the tax havens. Even the West provided us that. यहाँ के जितने जो filthy rich हैं, they collected their money and stored it into the Swiss banks rather than storing here. So they gave us that direction, and now they are coming again in the form of these carbon markets, जिसके अंदर carbon credits को वो खरीदने हमारे पास आ रहे हैं. Now you guys will face that. I'm doing what I do. I'm telling you what I do. But you will have those career paths जिसके अंदर आप इन चीजों को आगे face करेंगे. Just remember, whenever they come to invest on you in name of carbon credits, they are again colonizing you in a manner where they will buy cheap credits from you and then hold it as long as they can. Because I feel like in the developed world, जिसको हम कहते हैं कि बड़ी advanced और बड़ी sophisticated world है, they are doing like this. We have the climate change problem here, but they are showing कि हमने अपना product निकाल लिया है, या हमने अपना solution निकाल लिया है, but it's not in the right place. They were never wanted to be in the right place. That's what I identified from the last 10 years. मैंने जब इसको पढ़ा और मैंने identify किया, they don't have even a single intention to do into that direction or go into that direction. And why I'm saying this, because in the last year only in the 2022, they gave $7 trillion in subsidies to oil and gas industry, which is the main culprit for climate change. They gave $7 trillion in that direction. 7 trillion, it's a big number. And they gave it in 1 year. और ये 2022 की बात है, 23 का data भी मेरे पास नहीं है. And everything which I've told you is nullified just by a tweet. Like the doubt, delay and denial का जो phenomenon है, जो oil and gas industry ने misinformation के through, disinformation के through या malinformation के through आप सबको प्रोग्राम किया हुआ है, that you certainly believe कि tech-based solutions are the only possible way to forward, कि हमें इसी capitalist system के अंदर से कुछ ना कुछ निकल आएगा जिससे हम अपने आप को बचा सकते हैं. But that is not true, because the science itself is telling us. A tweet cannot save us in that direction. Look at the UNFCCC. It's one of its kind place जहाँ पे पूरी दुनिया में सिर्फ एक वाहिद जगह है जहाँ पे हम क्लाइमेट चेंज की बात कर सकते हैं, जहाँ पे हम डेवलप नेशन को रिस्पॉन्सिबल करार दे सकते हैं कि वो अपनी बैड प्रैक्टिसेस पे हैं. And if we look into that, we developed Kyoto Protocol in that direction back in 1997. But again, that Kyoto Protocol was not materialized because उस टाइम पे emissions को कम करने की बात हो रही थी. बहुत सारे mechanisms भी बने, बहुत सारी चीजें बने, but it never worked because the intention was not there, the political will was not there. And similarly, in the Paris Agreement, now we have 29 COPs. पिछली 3 COPs जो हुई हैं वो पेट्रो स्टेट में हुई हैं, और जो अगली COP होने जा रही है वो कोल बेस्ड इकोनॉमी में जा रही है, माइनिंग वालों के पास जा रही है. सो वी आर गिविंग द बुचर्स कि हम एक शेर को कह रहे हैं कि आप भेड़ों की रखवाली करें. This is actually what is happening around the world. Because if you look at the COP season, if this year's COP season, जो कि हमारा अभी नवंबर के अंदर खत्म हुआ है, it was not even a good COP, it was a worse COP or even a bad COP, I can say that. Because within this COP, there are 83,000 participants which were there, the delegates were there. And the only good thing we achieved, which we call good thing, is the $300 billion deal. In that deal, the amount of money which we need right now is around $1.3 trillion, and the money they are giving us by 2035. So उन्होंने pledge किया कि हम आगे जाके आपको करेंगे. That is even not there. And they are trying to develop such kind of materials. Solar radiation management इसको कहा जाता है. ऑर्थोडॉक्स तरीके की वो टेक्नोलॉजीज पे बिलीव रखते हैं कि हम सूरज की रोशनी को ही अगर प्लैनेट पे ना आने दें. So imagine like this, they are developing such tools कि जिसमें वो सूरज की रोशनी जो आप बाहर देख रहे हैं इसी को ही प्लैनेट्स के अंदर आने से ही रिफ्लेक्ट कर देंगे बाहर. So that is what we call the solar radiation management. And in the last, I want to show you this feeling of it. Why I say these things, how I find these things, this interest in me. कि मुझे इसी पे ही काम करना और इसी पे ही आगे काम करना. That is my ikigai. That is my reason for being. Every person have its own capacity and compatibility in that direction. So find your reason. Find your reason to do something to make your life meaningful in some direction. Because if you don't make your life meaningful, you are not moving anywhere in further direction. And this is what we are doing right now. I'm telling you, there is a hole in our boat, and everybody is taking its own opinion. Everybody is considering themselves that they have tendency to do certain things. But we need to work on that hole to stop this boat to be sink in that direction. Remember, these are the real luxuries you have. These are the real luxuries you have in your life. You take them for granted. If you can take a good day nap, it's a precious thing to have. If you can read a good book, that is a precious thing, because it's not going to be present anywhere soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.